Stephanie and Dre, the same thing. She was one
No,
of
but one thing you should ask them is just so that you ask them, you know that we work with omits. You have to tell them we work with omits.
What's the process? Okay.
They know the process.
They all know.
Meaning a family has to go to omits to say, we don't have money, want to send our kid to camp. Now, not every family qualifies, because a lot of families are crying about money, are real, and a lot of them are not real. They're just trying to take advantage. Yeah, but you and I don't really know. We don't know their lives. We don't know what's going on.
Stephanie said every year she pays full tuition. She's never asked. She doesn't.
Okay, listen. So tell them to register, and we will deal with it. You don't have to deal with it.
Can I put them on to you?
Yeah, but let them register, and you send me an email. You send me an email. This family, I spoke to them,
and then we'll call them.
Yeah.
Okay.
After they register, I'm not doing anyone before they register.
After they register,
I told them that before I asked you.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Okay, great.
Okay.
Amazing.
Hello, Lillian. Hello, Lori. We're just letting in people.
Hi, guys.
Good morning. What a beautiful package. Thank you so much. It was so beautifully put together. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Sharon.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Hi, Lillian.
Such a nice job, Dina. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Such a nice
Lori,
what?
I didn't take pictures.
Such a nice what?
Job.
Such a nice job. It was put together so beautifully.
Sharon,
oh, we should take
Lori.
a picture.
Sharon, take a picture.
Take a picture of the bag if you didn't open it up yet.
And send it.
Okay, I did open it up, but I did take a picture, so I'll send you.
Okay, but show Lori what it looks like, how I prepared everything.
Okay, I'm gonna send her a picture of the bag because it's already here. Look, it's already. Because I'm a little OCD.
Yeah.
It's already like on my counter, organized.
Wow.
You know.
Gosh. Okay. You're already messed up.
I'll send Lori a picture because we're friends.
Incredible.
Send me. I'm not measured out yet, but all good.
Actually, I was having
we
a
had elves
discussion.
helping us.
I was having a discussion with my kids. I was saying, do chefs measure? You know, do chefs, because we're learning in Torah, it says they can't do things by measure. Do chefs measure? Like high-end chefs. So my kids are telling me, no, they don't measure. But I say, I always see them measure. So they said like this, in cooking, they don't measure, but in baking, everyone measures.
You got it. That's exactly the response I was about to give you.
That's
okay.
my kids. My kids are professionals.
very
you know, they watch chefs cooking shows.
Baking, you cannot play around with the measurements. So yesterday, just to tell you funny, Zalmi called to find out like what cup, like is it a standard cup? I said, Zalmi, it's not a drinking cup. Like you need to take a measuring cup, please. Otherwise the recipe will not work. Like, so it was very funny to, you know, I said baking, we have to be very precise. So
I always tell people that cooking is an art and baking is a science.
Exactly.
Yeah. There you go.
I measured all the like vanilla, like the little cups, the ones that were little, I measured. And then Zalmi measured the sugar, the flour, and all that.
Teamwork.
Yeah.
Great. So
we'll just give another minute or two. Some people come in, and then we
yeah.
will get ourselves started.
What's for dinner for everyone tonight? Let's exchange dinner ideas for the week.
It's 11 o'clock.
Why do we have to make dinner every day? I don't get it.
You don't need to eat?
I don't know. I keep on asking my kids. I'm like, guys, do we really need to eat dinner tonight? Like, really? Like, I'm so done with cooking, you know?
Okay. Well, maybe they can make dinner tonight.
Some nights it's tuna sandwiches, bagel lox, and cream cheese. Running out of things to make.
Yeah. My Sarah with her school one day on, one day off, she makes dinner very often now.
Oh, that's a good one. You want to send her over?
Sure. No problem.
I can use a break.
Okay, Lori, I sent you 2 pictures.
See, my phone wasn't near me.
You can send one to Dina also. You send it to Dina.
What?
Send
I'll
the
send
picture
Dina
to Dina
too,
also.
sure.
Yes, send me the picture.
Ooh, hold on.
Pin, I would get 2 like that.
Nice. Wow.
Dina.
Lovely.
Dina Kraz. Gone. Send.
Okay, I'm checking it out.
Unbelievable.
So
we're almost there. Just give another minute or so, and we will.
Where'd Lillian go?
Lillian's there.
Oh, she's just quiet.
No, hi. No, I'm
Hi.
here. Hi, Lori.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? I'm waiting for the ingredient. Zalmi just called me.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I will show you to you before opening.
Oh, perfect. We'll get to see it live.
Oh, so take a picture of all the products. We didn't take a
Yeah,
picture.
no problem.
Take a picture of the inside of the bag, like of all the products.
Okay.
So all they really need is a bowl. They don't even need.
They need a parchment paper and a baking sheet.
Perfect. I have everything out on my counter, which is when it's all ready to go.
Okay, so let's start off here. First of all, I want to welcome everyone who's on here today for another YAH event. I just want to say a few things you should just know. Number one, just to know that every time we send out an email, even though we put in there about registration because we want people to register, you don't have to register again. Once you're registered once on Young at Heart, you're registered. We send out an email to remind you about the class or the event that will happen so you can get on. It's always the same link, chabadtmr.com/young. But there are times when and that email you'll get usually the day before or that morning when it's happening. But there are times when we're doing classes like this, where we're doing baking or we're doing art or we're doing some other type of activity, when we'll send out an email a few days before, and only those who respond to us that they're coming on for sure and that they want the kit, we're very happy to send the kit over. If you don't respond to us by the time we give, we cannot prepare and send it over. So just understand how it works. And please spread the word to your friends and others to come on as we build a community and soon start doing more activities. It's really beautiful. And I see a nice crowd coming on for baking. So Lori, they're coming on for you. We're very happy and feel privileged to have a great person, great personality, great person in the kitchen, Lori Abadi, and a good friend of ours who is going to lead our first baking session, and something that will give us a little something we can have around the home that we can enjoy, feel good about ourselves. Sometimes we can cheat a little and eat some cakes. It's not that bad, especially if we do the exercise Ran showed us. Then we'll definitely keep in shape that we can eat a little more cake. But we're very happy to have you on, Lori. And I don't know if Dina, you want to say a few words.
So I'm not usually on it, but I want to welcome all of you. And Lori, I really appreciate you coming on. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to do some more kitchen type of stuff, you can let us know and we'll get some more of that type of stuff as well, like cooking and baking, because it's always fun. So we're not going to waste Lori's time. Lori's really, really busy. Lori, thank you so much. And we're going to spotlight you. Okay.
Hey.
Okay, and I'm going to mute.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be in the kitchen with you and add a little sweetness to everyone's day with some delicious chocolate biscottis. I think everyone should have received their packages now. If for any reason you didn't, let me know. We'll catch you up. I do not have that beautiful package. I'm actually going to measure out in front of you. And the first thing I always do so that we don't waste time is do that preheating of your oven to 350 so that when
Lori, 1 second. Everyone, if you don't mind, just muting yourself so there's no background noise while Lori talks. So if you have a question, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah.
About the kitchen.
Did somebody say something that we're good? Everyone's following? Yes?
We're good.
Okay, we're good. Perfect. I didn't hear you for a second. I thought I lost you. So we're going to preheat our ovens to 350. That way, once everything's in the bowl, the oven's ready to go and we don't waste any time. So if everyone just takes a second, go to your ovens and set them to 350. I just did that. There's the beep. And then we are going to get started. Everyone should have a bowl. I know you all have your stuff pre-measured. I'm going to measure it out as we go. And
Lori, sorry, can I show you for 2 minutes?
of course, I'm actually just changing my settings so that I can see some of you. Oh, there we go. There, I see some people. That's better. Okay. Where's Lillian? Let me see you. Yes, that is beautiful. Wow.
Okay.
That's going to make it much easier for
Look,
you. Everything is measured out. Love it.
and there is
And these
a ticket on it, you see, so.
oh my, organization to the maximum.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sorry, we didn't get any package.
Everything. You didn't get your package?
We did not, and Sylvia Kelsey also did not. So I know 2 people
Okay.
didn't get.
Okay, so I'm gonna go slow so that you guys catch up. We'll chat, we'll have fun, we'll talk, we'll schmooze, get yourselves a coffee.
Sorry, Dahlia and Sylvia, I'm sorry. It went out. You made it in the middle.
Okay, but I'll make sure that you're able to catch up with us. We won't leave you on your own to figure it out. But
Okay,
it's
try our best.
pretty. Okay, hopefully you'll get it soon. You want me to wait a few more minutes, Dina? What do you?
I might as well watch.
Listen,
Yeah.
if you want,
Okay.
all the packages are out
Okay.
for delivery. If you want, you can talk a few minutes. Maybe something will come because we'll find out what's going on. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I was asking, Dina said that, why do we have to cook every night? I was asking if anyone wants to share what's for dinner tonight, maybe exchange some ideas for the week of what to cook. I have a chicken stir fry that's getting ready behind me with rice and spring rolls for dinner because my kids have gotten used to the good life. So that's what's for dinner in my kitchen. Anyone else want to give anybody some ideas of what they're having? Well, I lost you all again. Ooh. Did I just lose you? Oh, no. Ah.
We hear you.
You hear me, but I don't see you. I just did something. I clicked on something. Hang on a sec. Let me just get you guys back. 1 sec. Ah.
We see you.
You see me? Oh my God, that's creepy. That you guys can see me. I can't see you. Hold on a sec. I'm not a fan of Zoom. I have to be honest. I still haven't gotten used to this. A year in or over a year into COVID, and I'm still struggling. Hang on. I'll find you. Where are you all? Oh, there we go. I got you back. Okay. So then I figure we have a great carb dessert for after dinner. So my kids will be very happy that I took this time to bake with you guys. So actually, just to tell you, because I can't take 100% credit for this recipe, it's adapted from Michelle Cola's Like Mother, Like Daughter cookbook. Her recipe actually is not parve and has all different types of chocolate in it, but I thought it looked like a nice recipe, so I substituted the butter for margarine. I don't put in the white chocolate chips or the spore chips or the slivered almonds, but it's, if you want to, of course you can. But I like to keep my recipes parve. That way my kids have something easy that they can grab after we eat a meal, and they freeze super well. So that's what I'm actually going to do. I'm going to leave a few out on the counter today for them to have after dinner, and then I'm going to put the rest in the freezer, and you should have enough to be able to do that too if you choose. So I'm going to start slowly, and then we'll allow those that didn't receive their packages to catch up to us. And basically what I like to do, I don't like to make a huge mess in my kitchen. I like to use the minimum of equipment. So I have a bowl, I have a measuring cup, which you guys apparently don't even need, and measuring spoons. And what I always do is I start with my dry ingredients and then put my wet ingredients after, because if you put the oil or the margarine first, then it gets kind of messy when you put in your dry ingredients to this measuring cup. But if you guys don't mind the cleaning, you can take out all your measuring cups and do it however you like, but that's just a little way that I keep my kitchen kind of clean. So I'm going to start by putting in 3 cups of flour, which you guys should have measured in your containers already. I'm gonna take out my massive bag of flour and measure it out. So you can start by putting that in your bowls. So,
Lori, can I? You can use a food processor for this, yes?
you can use a food processor. I use my hands because
Okay.
I find it therapeutic, but absolutely you can use a food processor. I just find it a pain to have to take. It's up in the cupboard. I don't know about you guys, but I have a KitchenAid Cuisinart, and I think maybe I've taken them out twice in 15 years. I don't know. More headache than it's worth. So once you have your...
Can you repeat, what did you start with?
I started with the flour, but you can, I mean, you can essentially start with any of your dry ingredients, but I so far have put my flour.
Excuse me, could I ask you something?
Of course.
Did you say that you don't use a mix master or a food processor? So how do you mix it? I don't want to take mine out either.
So I have.
What do I need to mix it? Oh, I have that.
Anything like this would work to mix it. And then put on gloves, because I love to stick my hands in the bowl and like feel the dough, and it's not a difficult dough to knead. It's
okay.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you.
if you have any type of, this would also work. In a different drawer, like a more wooden type one would work. A spoon would work, and then you might just need to put your hand in to kind of give the final touches.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Keep them coming. I love feeling like I'm not just talking and you guys are listening. I like the interaction. So after that, we're going to take our baking soda and baking powder. And you guys have those in your little labeled containers I saw. It's a teaspoon of each. So I'm measuring out 1 teaspoon. I am throwing it into my bowl. And the same thing for my baking soda. So another teaspoon. And then I'm going to give you guys a second to just find your pre-measured containers of everything and put that in the bowl. So far, flour, baking soda, baking powder. And then we're going to do the salt. So that's next. When you guys have done those 3 ingredients, it is 1/2 a teaspoon of salt. So I always measure salt. I don't do it over the bowl just in case my hand slips and I do too much. So I'm doing it in, you can do it either over the sink, or I have a little bowl here that I've prepared for my eggs for after. So I'm putting in 1/2 a teaspoon of salt. And now I'm giving it just a little, I want everything to be well incorporated, so I'm just giving it a little stir so that I don't end up with the salt all in one part of my bowl. And the next thing we are going to put in is our baking powder. So baking powder gets messy. I don't like to pour directly from the container because I find it flies all over the place. So I'm gonna, you guys have it measured out, but just if you in the future are doing it on your own, I take a spoon and I just gently put it in because it tends to fly all over the place. So we need 2/3 of a cup. And I'm still using my 1 cup. I'm refusing to take any more out of my cupboards. So I have 2/3, and I make sure that I pour it in low down in my bowl, because when you pour it in from up here, it ends up all over the counters. And now I'm just gently, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. Did you pour in your sugar yet? No.
I didn't pour in my sugar. You're actually right. I didn't pour in my sugar yet.
So you poured in everything but the sugar in the dry ingredients.
All my dry ingredients except for my sugar so far. Yeah,
Thank
I have.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Here. So actually, just to go over, so far we've done flour, baking soda, baking powder, salt, cocoa. So I'm just giving
Okay, you put in the cocoa. I missed that.
put in the cocoa, yeah, and then I'm going to put in actually my last dry ingredient. You are right. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Is my sugar. So 2 cups of sugar. Oh, my oven's preheated. Look at that. Anyone else is preheated yet?
Yeah, mine is. Mine is.
Great. So I have my 2 cups and I'm just giving it a gentle stir so that all my ingredients are incorporated evenly in the bowl. And then we are going to start adding some wet ingredients. So that is that. And I generally like to put things away while I'm at it, put my covers back on, keep things nice and neat.
May I
And
ask you something?
yes,
I have another question. I'm sorry
Go
with
for
all
it.
the questions. I hope you don't mind.
awesome. That's what we're here for.
Have you ever cut the sugar on this recipe? Have you ever thought about, that's a lot of sugar. What if I were to put in 1 cup in the future?
So you can try. I would cut by smaller amounts because it's going to change the texture.
Okay, I don't know how to bake, so I know nothing about baking. Okay.
See,
That's why I'm asking.
we just discussed this with Rabbi Moish that baking is a very precise art. So if you want to reduce, just bear in mind it is definitely going to affect the texture. I'm not sure in what way because I've never tried it, if I'm being honest, on this particular recipe. I do it more in recipes that are like muffins or things that are more moist. I don't find that it affects as much in those types of recipes, but in a biscotti that's meant to be more on the crunchy side, it's definitely going to have an effect.
Good to know. I learned something.
Yeah, well, baking, cooking, you can have a bit more flexibility in terms of measurements. Baking is usually pretty
More precise.
Yeah, you would have to almost substitute it with something.
What about honey? What about honey? No.
Not the same. No.
You can tell I'm not a baker.
Lori,
It's okay. Yes.
I've been making the same mandel bread recipe for 40-something years.
Yeah.
It is a lot of sugar, but you have to remember there's that 2/3 of a cup of cocoa, which is bitter.
Correct.
True. Oh,
So
yes. Okay.
maybe 1.5 cups of sugar instead of 2, but not less than that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's why I said I wouldn't cut from like 2 to 1. That's a kind of drastic. I would go 2 to 1 3/4, then 1.5 to make sure that I,
Slowly. Yeah.
slowly. You got it. Slow and steady wins the race. Yeah. But bear in mind also, like, it's going to yield quite a large batch. So yes, it is a lot of sugar, but you're also going to have a lot of cookies. So it's not like you're having 2 cups of sugar in one cookie. Like,
No.
it's maybe. We'll see what happens once our logs are formed, but you're going to end up with quite a few cookies. So
Yeah. To spread it out.
Exactly. And if you do try, or I try, or anybody else tries, we'll let each other know what happens when we reduce the amount
I'm going to reduce it slowly. Yeah.
So we've done flour, cocoa powder, baking soda, baking powder, salt, and sugar so far. We are going to get to our wet ingredients. You guys have your eggs, which I'm going to measure into a bowl to check, make sure they're kosher, and also easier to pick out shells from a little bowl than your bowl that has all your dry ingredients. So we're going to crack them one at a time. And this reminds me how long ago, Dina, if you're still there, was Allie's Babka Bake? It's almost 2 years now. We had like 200 and something eggs to break.
Do you remember that? And
oh my God, I've never seen so many eggs in my life. And we did this one by one in the bowl. I remember my mother was in Dina's kitchen. She was the egg cracker. And actually there were quite a few eggs that she had to throw out, if I remember
Yeah,
Correct.
I remember that.
Yeah, I do. Oh my God, what a mess your kitchen was that day. It was fun. It was fun. See, I remember. Good memory.
How many eggs?
So
How
it's
many
3 eggs.
Oh,
Three. Oops.
okay.
3. Yeah. So just, I don't know. I know some of you are bakers, some of you aren't bakers. I like to keep certain, I'm going to stop and talk for a few minutes to let Dahlia receive her package. I like to keep certain basic baking ingredients. Oh, you got it. Yay. But it's still in the bag. Dahlia, take it out of the bag. Or now you're just listening. You're like, forget it at this point. Just let them bake and, you know. Okay, I like to keep certain basic ingredients in my pantry so that if on a Tuesday my kids ask me for treats, I have kind of the basics ready. So things like we're using now: flour, sugar, baking powder, baking soda, cocoa powder, some chocolate chips, vanilla, oil or margarine. And with those basic ingredients, you're actually able to do eggs, obviously. You're actually able to do a lot of different things. It's amazing how you could just switch the quantities and you end up with a different recipe. So if it's something you want to dabble more in, that, you know, I think it's Lily. Is it Lily that has been asking questions? I think it's Lily. But anyways, no?
Not me.
No, not Lillian. Lily. I think it was Lily that was asking some questions before. Anyways, all to say, if after today you see that like, oh wow, I got this, I'm actually like, I got a good hand at baking, those are kind of the ingredients that you kind of just want to keep on hand to be able to make a lot of different recipes. So our eggs are in our bowl at this point. Now I'm going to add the margarine. So you guys have it measured out. I'm going to take 1 cup and back to my 1 measuring cup. I'm still sticking to that 1 measuring cup. I'm going to, this is where the measuring cup gets really dirty. And the way that I do this is I take a knife and I kind of, I'm going to show you how we measure margarine. I kind of pat it down in the measuring cup until it's level, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm kind of just making it nice and smooth, making sure the cup is full, since we have to be precise when we're baking. So here is my 1 cup. It's flat, if you see on the side. And
Do you have precisely 1 cup in those?
You have precisely, you should have, these 2 sticks are exactly 1 cup, exactly. Yeah.
So we can just throw it in? You can just
throw it in the bowl, yeah. And then, since I'm on a measuring cup here, I just kind of make a little circle and it falls right out. Whoops.
That's terrific. Yeah.
Falls
Do
right down.
you do the offset method with solids when you don't want to dirty a cup like that, like with water?
No, this is kind of my method, but share with us, please. I like to learn.
Well, like if you have a 2-cup measuring cup,
yeah,
you fill it with a cup of water, and then you add the margarine until you get 2 cups. That's what I.
What do you do with
the? Well, you throw out the water after, but you're offsetting so you don't. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I've never done that before.
Yeah.
So you put the water, then you put the margarine, you fill out the water, and you're left with just the margarine.
Yeah, I don't know.
Have you tried it?
No, because I always use stick. Or
how
oil.
do you mix in the sticks? How do you mix in the sticks properly? They're not mixing in so great.
Oh, but hold on. This is where we're gonna use our spatula, our spoon, and we're gonna kind of, here, I'm gonna actually angle.
Show me how, yeah. Show me.
So, ideally, I hope you still hear me. You're not gonna see me for a minute. Ideally, when you're baking, you also want to leave, I will put myself on for a second, then I'll go back to the bowl. You want to leave your margarine out to let it come to room temperature, because if you take it directly from the fridge, it's going to be much harder to work with. So I don't know if yours was out before or not.
Very soft, very soft.
It's very soft. That's exactly what we want. It's going to be a breeze. Okay, but in the future, if for any reason you're baking and it's in the fridge, take it out an hour before, stick it somewhere warm in your house, even near, not on the stove, but near the stove, and just and let it get soft, because it will make it a lot easier to incorporate into the dry ingredients. So that being said, we still have vanilla that we need to throw in the bowl. 1 teaspoon of, or 1.5 teaspoons. So you guys have it measured out. I'm going to take my teaspoons here and 1.
What is that?
It's vanilla.
Oh, vanilla.
I usually don't even measure my vanilla. I just pour it in the bowl. I'm being honest. I'm telling you my baking secrets. That's the only ingredients I usually don't measure exactly. But I had the measuring spoons out, so why not? Okay, now I'm going back on my bowl. So I have my flour, my baking soda, my baking powder, my cocoa powder, my salt.
Lori,
Yes. Yes.
I measured them 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. I guess in the picture that you sent me, it only said 1/2 teaspoon. So
it's fine. If you guys want to go give an extra squirt, if you have vanilla on hand, that's fine. But I don't think anything.
I think it's okay. It doesn't make much of a difference.
I don't think anything terrible is going to happen by.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The picture I had, I did 1/2 spoon. Okay, everyone, just mute yourself. So, okay, Lori, you're back on.
Oh, Sharon, you're talking to Mike. He's texting me. Okay, so we have all our ingredients except for our chocolate chips, which we can add now. We're gonna put these. I don't really measure, but a cup. We're gonna call it a cup. Dina, I think, measured you a cup. So
I measured a cup.
yeah, perfect. I don't know. I figure with chocolate chips, kind of the more the merrier in the bowl. So now back to my bowl. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm gently going to press down the margarine with the back of my spoon and try and break up those eggs. Really gentle at first so that we don't send all the dry ingredients flying all over your kitchen. So I'm just kind of trying to start incorporating it. I am going to stick my hands in the bowl. I always put gloves on for that reason. I don't like actually touching with my hands. I'm kind of a germaphobe like that, but I'm just going to keep going around the bowl, give a gentle stir, and you guys can keep doing it with the spoon. I'm going to keep going with the spoon for a bit too to show you that it will come together. It will just take a little bit longer than if you do it with a food processor or your hands, but it will work either way. Starting to get a little bit more dough-like. Okay. You kind of see it's starting to come together. That's it. My hand's going in the bowl. So it is feeling beautiful, this cookie dough. Gonna make sure that everything is super well mixed in. You tend to end up with dry ingredients sticking to the bottom of the bowl. You gotta kind of work it in there. So this is so far what it looks like. I'm almost there.
How come I don't see everyone else's excitement of baking? Dahlia, where's your baking?
Dahlia's having coffee. She decided.
in the bag. I just received it now, 5 minutes ago, so I'm not going to start.
Oh,
now.
really?
So I'll do it after, later. I'm writing it down.
Okay.
So my dough is almost done. And it's so nice, this dough, that it doesn't even really leave your hands like super dirty. It's a really easy dough to work with, especially if you're not a seasoned baker. I find some biscotti doughs are harder to work with than others. This one is really quite foolproof. So actually, my dough is totally ready. This is what, oops, I'm gonna put the screen back up. This is what it looks like. So now what you need to have is a baking sheet that you line with parchment. I'm a huge fan of parchment paper, by the way. I just have to let you know, if it's something you don't have in your cupboard, you should really get some, because it avoids a lot of sticking and spraying and all of that. So I lined an aluminum baking sheet with parchment, and now we are going to form our logs. And basically what that means is I'm going to separate this big ball of dough into 3 roughly even, it doesn't have to be exact, but more or less, so that they cook evenly. We are going to divide it into 3 parts. I have the same knife I've been using to measure you see my theme. I don't like to make a mess unnecessarily or take out extra utensils. So I'm gonna cut it into 3, and then we're gonna form our logs. So I have 3 roughly the same size, and what I'm gonna do is space them out. You need a pretty big baking sheet because they are gonna expand in the oven. So I'm shaping them. I don't usually do it up in the air, but just so you guys can see what a log should look like. This is 1 log.
Nice.
Do the same thing to the other 2 with some space in between them on our parchment, because like I said, they are going to expand a little bit in the oven, and you don't want them ending up touching each other. So same thing for all 3. So I skipped, the original recipe calls for slivered almonds on top. I skip it just in case not that I'm having guests at this point in time, but with nut allergies, or if I want to send them to school with my kids, I kind of avoid the nuts. But if it's not an issue in your house, feel free to add on some slivered almonds if that's something that you enjoy. And if you want to make them more dairy, you can put different types of chocolate chips. You can play around with that. That's the one thing you can play around with in this recipe, is the type of chocolate chips. Michelle Cola used white chocolate chips, score chips, to give you an idea of other options that you can use. So I'm going to remove my gloves and show you what these 3 logs look like. Whoops. There are my 3 logs that are ready to go into my oven. So let's take a look, actually, to the oven. Now, just for those of you who aren't, okay, here, I'm moving. My oven is ready. I have a few racks in my oven. I like to put things in the center. I'm on convection bake. I don't know if your ovens have that setting, but the recipe calls for 35 minutes. I don't like to put them too high on the top or too high on the bottom. Even though convection is supposed to bake evenly, I find that it tends to either cook too much the top or too much the bottom if you put it on one of those racks. So ideally, if you can stick it right in the middle, and we need to time 35 minutes. Now, at 35 minutes, they're not going to be fully baked. They're going to be baked just enough for us to let them cool for 10 minutes and then make the slices that we need to into biscotti. So, in the meantime, does anyone have any questions, first of all? Are we all on the same page? They're in the oven, or some people not in the oven yet? You guys can unmute yourselves at this point. Lily, are you doing okay?
So fast, I'm
See, now like share with me what you're, share with us. I want to, oh, there's a lot of people that don't have their cameras on. Lily, let me see. Yes.
To ask a question. My name is Dalita. Can I replace the margarine with oil?
So that's another substitution I've never done on this recipe. You probably can, but the texture will change. Sharon, you make
oil. I use oil. My regular mandel bread recipe is a cup of oil with 3 eggs.
Yeah, you could. I've used oil in mandel bread as well.
So I've done it in other recipes for sure where I use oil, but I'm not sure if my other recipes have the same amount of flour. I'm gonna actually.
2.5 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons. Yeah, I think it would work.
My other mandel bread uses oil as well.
So I'm gonna check actually my other new mandel bread recipe that comes from Noreen Gillitz's, and it is 3/4 cup of oil and 4 cups of flour. So the ratios are different. That's the only.
How many
you
eggs?
can 4 eggs.
Okay, so she has an extra egg there.
Yeah, she has an extra egg.
So egg is like almost the equivalent of the oil. Yeah, it's probably, the texture will probably change a little bit, but I would say it should work. It should work. Yeah. And then the other thing, so in the second stage, now it's doing its first cook in the oven for 35 minutes. In the second stage, you can kind of play with how crispy you want these mandel bread by leaving them in longer on a low temperature or less time. So my kids sometimes like it with a little bit of a chew to it. You would leave it in for less time than the recipe calls for, which is 10 to 15 minutes. I would maybe just leave them for 10 minutes. But if you want them crispy, I even shut my oven off and just leave them in there in that warm oven for 1 or 2 hours so that they have like really good crunch. But if you like it a little less crunchy, then you're going to have to check on them after about 10 minutes and just pull them out sooner. So you have that option to play with the crunch of your.
One question. A regular oven, not conventional oven. Regular oven at 350. How long I'm going to put them?
350, 35 minutes. I'm probably going to have to take mine out after 30 minutes on my convection. I have a pretty strong oven, and I find convection always goes a little bit faster than a regular oven. So 35 minutes is what you're going to do. I hear a little voice in the background. My daughter is home because these days when you sneeze, you've got to keep your kids home. So I would just check on them after exactly 35 minutes, pull them out. They need to cool before they slice them. We slice them. Everyone, Lillian, you're still making your logs?
Yeah, but...
And how it's coming together. I want to know how it's coming together as your first time making them. Does the dough feel perfect? I love that. I love it. It's Dina's and Zalmi's amazing. Rabbi Zalmi and Dina measured all your ingredients. So it's their amazing measuring skills that are making this recipe work. I was telling Dina that Rabbi Zalmi called me yesterday and asked me what kind of measuring cup he was supposed to, what kind of cup he was supposed to use. So I got nervous. I'm like, please make sure you're using like measuring cups, like not your coffee cup, or because then the recipe will surely fail. So we're gonna wait for those to cook a little bit. Anyone else have anything?
In the meantime, you want to sing and dance for them?
No, I want to know what everyone's making for dinner. I'm running out of dinner ideas over here. I need some new dinner ideas. Anyone making really anything interesting these days? I see people are like posting all kinds of crazy recipes of, I don't know, sourdough bread, and anyone tried anything really cool? Salia, you?
Yeah.
Trying anything?
I want to go with you through the whole recipe because maybe I missed something. Can you do that?
How could you miss something? Dina, did you forget to put something in Dahlia's bag on purpose?
No, I missed
Yes,
hiding.
of course.
Maybe
I did it for Dahlia.
She left out the eggs.
No, I'm saying that I missed, maybe I didn't write all the recipe. That's why I'm saying.
I'm going to go through the recipe with you again. Here we go. Although I know Dina put a beautiful paper, she made the recipe beautiful. So you're going to put the flour, cocoa powder.
3 cups of flour.
3 cups of flour. 2/3 of a cup of baking powder. Baking powder. Whoa, that's
Cocoa.
Cocoa powder. We definitely don't want 2/3 of a cup of baking powder. A teaspoon of baking soda. A teaspoon of baking powder.
Yeah.
A half teaspoon of salt.
Okay.
2 cups of sugar. Half a teaspoon of salt.
Okay. 2 cups of sugar.
That's your dry ingredients. Right. Then your wet ingredients, you're putting 1 cup or 2 sticks. It's the same equivalent of margarine.
Okay.
3 large eggs.
3 what?
Large eggs. Eggs. You know, eggs.
Oh, eggs. Okay.
Oh, good. I'm good at charades. This is an egg. 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. And then your chocolate chips.
Okay.
Lillian.
Right.
Yeah.
You mix everything.
You have the recipe in the bag, but just in case you don't. And then
Okay.
it's okay. And then you're going to put them in the oven. You're going to make 3 logs. You're going to put them in the oven for 35 minutes. For
It's okay. I will do that.
2 different baking. The first part is to get them cooked partially so that we can then slice them. And then the second part is to get them crispy or crunchy. And like I mentioned, the amount of time you're cooking them in the oven is going to determine whether they're a little bit chewy or if they have like a real serious crunch to them. So.
Perfect. Thank you.
And 350 in a convection oven, it might take a little bit less time. In a regular oven, it's 35 minutes. Basically, what you're looking for is that when you touch them, they're not totally mushy. You will not be able to slice them if they're mushy. They need to be a little bit baked. So we're going to hopefully we'll still be together when mine are ready, and I can show you what that's going to look like. So,
good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Is everyone?
When do you slice them? After baking?
So after you take them out of the oven, after they've done their 30-35 minutes, depending on what type of oven you're using, convection or regular, you let them cool for about 10 to 15 minutes because when they're very hot, they start to fall apart. They make a lot of crumbs. So they need to be slightly cooled. I'm actually going to take out a baking rack to put them on, and then you'll be able to slice them more easily. And I like to slice them, not too thick, not too thin. I'll show you, hopefully if we're still on, then we can do that step together. But it's not anything that I trust you guys can't all do. Does anyone want to show me their logs? Does anyone need help forming, finishing to put the ingredients all together, or you are all under control? We're all thumbs up, we're under control? Yes? Perfect. So Dina actually told me a really funny story that I think I should share with you today. She told me yesterday that when her daughter was 10, Rifki, and wanted to make a chocolate cake because we were deciding what recipe to use today, and I kind of wanted to share a chocolate cake, but maybe we'll do that in our next Zoom together. It called for 1 3/4 cups of coffee. And obviously, I hope we all know that means 1 3/4 of coffee dissolved in hot water. And Rifki put in 1 3/4 cups of Folgers coffee to the cake. God. I don't even think that's called a coffee cake anymore. I don't know what it's called. 1 3/4 cups of coffee. Yeah, I thought that was quite cute, but understandable at the age of 10 that that's how she read the coffee in the cake. Very cute. So, who's making what for dinner? I'm not letting up here. You guys don't look like you're cooking anything for dinner tonight. Tuna salad, Sharon, anything. You guys have to eat.
We eat tuna salad, we eat bagel, lox, and cream cheese. Sometimes we have grilled cheese. You're home all day. Like, who wants to eat?
I know, but like, have little kids. Come on, even if you're not cooking it, just give me
children. The children aren't allowed to come to my house.
Yeah, I know, but I still need ideas here. I'm like, how many days?
Barbecue.
You know what? Let me take you on a tour of what. So here, I'm going to share a story. I was without a kitchen. Me, who cooks every single night, was without a kitchen for 1 year through COVID with my kids home most of the time. So I don't have a barbecue yet because this is currently what my backyard looks like. I really need a barbecue. If anyone wants to give me a barbecue recommendation, yeah, I'm dying for a barbecue because that would make some nights easier to just be able to throw something on the grill. Sure. But in the meantime, we wait until that backyard is complete. Anybody want to give me more dinner ideas? What did we have last night? Last night was, oh, you know what I made actually last night? I don't know if any of you, this is the Middle Eastern in me. I made zucchini gratin, like a crusted zucchini gratin. I took a lot of onions, I sauteed them, then I added my finely chopped up zucchinis to it, let that cook down. And then once it was cooled off, I added some breadcrumbs, eggs, cheese, and then some French's fried onion on top, stuck it in the oven. And then I took little wonton wrappers, which I don't have a package to show you, but you get them in the kosher section at IGA in the freezer. I took little wonton wrappers and I stuffed them with a cheese mixture. And they're like dairy wontons, like with cheese inside. I do the same thing with minced chicken, but it was Monday night's dinner. Truth be told, I really hate making them because it's very tedious. You have to put the water around the edges and then stuff them and then fold them. But my kids love them, so you know, that's what mom does. But
tomorrow night might be noodle kugel, cottage cheese baked in the oven.
Oh,
my husband's
out. Okay. Well, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. It's delish.
I've actually, oh my God, in the middle of the night, I forgot what I was supposed to make for dinner. And now I said I'm making chicken stir fry, but in the middle of the night, this is what I think of. I was going to make a pad thai. Anyone use rice noodles?
I think Andrea does.
I love rice noodles, and it's such an easy recipe that I found on Pinterest, actually. And you can do it just with, like, you can do it vegetarian, or you can do it with some chicken pieces inside. Oh my God, I was really in the mood for that at 3 a.m. What happened? But I forgot that this morning. I'm looking to see if I even have rice noodles. I like to keep like lots of things in my pantry. I don't know, you know, I guess I may be in a different boat here that I'm cooking for kids, so I feel like I always got to be on my game in the cooking department. Otherwise, they're like, "That's it? That's dinner tonight?" Like I can't get away with the tuna and eggs in my house, unfortunately. So I have to keep lots of different options in the pantry because I don't want to go to the grocery store every day. But rice noodles are a really, really good one. It's kind of got like, it's a one dish that you have like your protein, your vegetables, everything in there, and it's an easy one. But if anyone has any other ideas, I'm very, very open to hearing what's going on in your kitchen these days, because it's hard. There's not very many kosher takeout options that I really enjoy. And how much pizza can you eat? I don't know. But I have a really good pizza dough recipe. If anyone wants to make a fresh pizza dough at home, it's like super, super easy, super delicious. Everyone that tries it is like, oh my God, that's faster than picking up the phone and ordering. And it freezes super well. Like if it's too much, the batch, it's literally 4 cups of flour, 2 cups of warm water, a tablespoon of yeast, a tablespoon of salt, and some olive oil. And you literally just knead it together in the dough. It makes enough plus extras for my family. So you can literally like take half, stick it right away in the freezer, and then take it out when you're an hour or 2 before you're ready to use it. It will rise. It rolls out beautifully. It is like a foolproof, easy pizza dough recipe that I like to always keep some in my freezer. Way healthier than ordering, I guess, takeout.
Put a recipe offline for cheese bagels. Do you ever make them?
Cheese bagels.
You know what to buy at Mental?
Seth on Caldwell makes the best cheese bagels.
But I want to make them.
But honestly, I never even thought of making cheese bagels. Like it's one of those things. Oh, you know what's another really good thing that I do? I love puff dough. Puff dough is like my go-to. Easy. I always keep like several of the logs in my freezer, and then I'll stuff them with like onions, spinach, and feta that I just saute. And I saute the onions, then the spinach, and then I add some feta once it's cooled, and I just roll it out, put it in there, brush it with some egg and sesame seeds. That's delicious. Or I do like a tuna puff, like a puff tuna. I take like tuna, I mix it up with a little bit of mayonnaise and mustard. I roll my dough out, I put it in the center, and then I put some mushrooms and cheese, and it's like a tuna melt in puff dough. That's delicious. Actually, I'm giving myself ideas as I'm talking now. And then that TikTok pasta. Who has tried the TikTok pasta with the tomatoes? You haven't? Why? It's so good. It's so good. Why?
My husband is a particular eater.
It's so delicious and it's so easy. It can be adjusted for 2 people. I mean, I put the entire Costco pint of tomatoes for my household, but you can take like a small pint and a small piece of feta. It is so delicious. It's delicious, actually. I was a little skeptical at first of like mashing feta into tomato. Like it sounded weird. I don't really like hot cherry tomatoes, but actually delicious. My kids love it, except for one. You can't please everybody. I've learned in this household. You're lucky, but that's where I say, here, have a tuna sandwich. If I can't, we're gonna go actually check on these cookies. I'm walking to the oven. Let's see what's happening with them. I said that they're gonna, oh yeah, see? My logs started off really small and they kind of expanded, but they are exactly what I want them to look like. You guys can check. Just as a little note, you shouldn't, I have a light on my oven, but it's new and I don't even know where it is. Oh, there's my light on my oven for me to check without opening. You don't want to open your oven too often when you're baking. It lets out the heat and plays around with the temperature. So if you have a light, better to do it that way. But you guys wouldn't have been able to see. So it's all good, but they are coming along. They should be ready for us to take out in a couple of minutes. And I want to know, Dahlia.
Yes.
Yeah, when are you planning on making your cookies?
Someone asked.
I better do it after you be finished with your course, because otherwise, who knows? But for sure,
who knows?
Tonight it will be ready for us to eat. That's it.
Maurice,
and I'll let you know
asked,
if it came good or not. Or I'll keep some for
Well,
the grandkids.
it's gonna come good. There's no option for it to come anything but delicious. I'm telling you, they look amazing.
That's for sure. But someone asked if you can repeat the pizza dough ingredients. I see it.
The pizza dough ingredients with pleasure. So what I do is I start off in my bowl. I add 2 cups of warm water, 1 tablespoon of yeast, a tablespoon of salt, then it's 4 cups of flour, and a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. I don't really measure the olive oil, but I would say it's 2 tablespoons. Now, anytime you're working with dough, I always add the 4 cups you for sure need. Sometimes you need a little bit more, but once it's in the bowl, you can't take it out. So I like starting off with the minimum and then slowly adding as you need it. And the way that you'll know, and this is for challah dough, this is for the pizza dough, if you're mixing it and it's still super sticky on your hands, then you need to add a tiny bit more at a time until it forms a nice dough that's just kind of all, you can press it, it comes out clean on your hands, then you're good. This recipe, you're not letting your yeast proof because there's no sugar in it. It's not going to bubble. You can kind of right away mix it all together. And within about 20 minutes, it's not something you have to leave for hours to rise. Within about 20 minutes, you'll notice that it's doubled in volume, and then you're ready to roll it out. And here, we can talk toppings. I decided to get creative with my toppings because why not? You know, you can obviously do the basic margarita pizza, but not recently, actually, a long time ago, decided I was going to do caramelized onions and pears. I don't know what it sounds like to you, but it is heaven. And then I literally shave like Parmesan. I put regular cheese, and then I do actually Parmesan, like the brick of Parmesan. I actually grate some and I add it on top. It is delicious. The way that you caramelize you start in a pan with a little bit of olive oil. You slice your onions. You let them caramelize. Caramelize just means you're not like letting them you're cooking them slow and long. And then I add my sliced pears, and then I top the pizza, shredded cheese, Parmesan, stick it in the oven, 400. You need like a really hot oven for pizza, at least 400, sometimes 425, depending on how strong your oven is. And it is like next level restaurant quality. And the other one that I do is fresh tomatoes, pesto, and mozzarella. Delicious also. Delicious. So I don't know, just I like to get
yeast for the pizza yeast.
How much yeast?
Regular Costco yeast. I don't distinguish for challah, for pizza dough. I use that same big Costco bag of yeast. I keep it in the fridge. If you guys don't keep your yeast in the fridge, I suggest you do. It maintains the longevity of the yeast. And no, that pizza dough is like foolproof. If anybody needs me to repeat it or send it to Dina, with pleasure. It's an easy. That's again that like keeping certain ingredients on hand in your pantry. Like you don't know what to make one night. Oh, okay, pizza dough. It's an easy one. Like I definitely recommend it if you like pizza. Otherwise. We're going to look at our clock. We have, you know what? They went in 11:38. Here, I'm going to put the light on and see how far I think we are from them being ready. I would say mine need another 5 minutes. What is everyone else? Where's everyone else at in their ovens? Are you guys thinking they're almost ready, or Sharon, are you?
Mine later.
Oh, you're not even doing them now. Okay.
No, it's easier for me to listen to you and then do it after.
Oh, you made them, or you didn't even make the dough? Not yet.
No, I'll do it after.
Okay.
I need to. I'm very focused. So.
I know you are. I've always known that about you, Sharon. Yes. So today's a perfect day with that weather. With that weather outside. Actually, like what I do now is I look at the weather for the week, and then I plan when I'm going to make my cooking days, because I don't want to waste any nice days out inside the kitchen. So if like last week, I didn't feel bad cooking for Shabbat last Thursday because I wasn't missing anything outdoors. But I feel like these days, being cooped up as much as we are, you got to make the most of the time and the fresh air that we are given. We're getting snow tomorrow.
I might make a soup, a sweet potato and carrot soup.
Tonight?
Later.
Save it for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Save it for tomorrow. You're not going out tomorrow. Oh, okay. No, tomorrow I think might be a cooking day, because I don't think I'm going to play in the snow tomorrow. So tell me, sweet potato, you said, and
carrot.
Like same soup.
Oh.
Two different soups. Sweet potato and carrot soup. Tell me.
So you chop up a few, peel and chop up a few carrots, one sweet potato because they're big, maybe a regular potato. I just used water. I don't do anything else. I don't do anything fancy. I might saute an onion. That might be it.
Okay.
And then I just cover it, and then I zhuzh it. I just bought myself a new zhuzher because the other one died. And
Word from Did you get the zhuzher word from Dina?
no, my sister and I have used it for years.
Oh, that's funny. I got it from Dina.
Because it zhuzhes.
It zhuzhes.
Maybe a little bit of maple syrup, and that's it.
Oh, okay.
I don't make soup with a recipe.
Me either. See, that's where we said cooking, you can totally.
It's like wherever it is, whatever's there.
You got it. Yeah, I know. People ask me for recipes and they think that I'm like really trying. I'm not one of those that doesn't share recipes. I really share recipes, but sometimes I'm like, I really don't know what measurements. Like, you know, when I make my stir fry later, I'm just going to kind of take a bit of this, take a bit of that, test
how
it.
It tastes and how it feels and how it looks.
I don't think I ever do 2 times the exact same measurements. So it's like.
Right. And soup is just. I don't know. Just
you can't really go wrong. You can't really go wrong with
unless you add too much salt or something. And I try not to cook with salt too much. So
Dina's zucchini soup recipe is actually a great one.
It is a good one. Yeah.
If you don't have that, it's so easy. It's literally lots of sautéed onions and some garlic. I
have zucchini in the fridge. I might add that to the potato soup. Because it goes nicely together, sweet potato and zucchini.
Yeah, I make a vegetable soup like that of onion, zucchini, sweet potato, a bit of regular potato, carrots, and I like celery if I have. And then sometimes I actually don't even like to zhuzh that vegetable soup. I like
that stays real, and I put in a can of beans and sometimes some orzo. So it's like a white minestrone.
I put barley, actually. Barley's a good one, too. Yeah. See, I like to keep all different. Switch it up depending on what's in the pantry. Yeah. So that's actually a good one for tomorrow night. It's going to be cold.
Yeah.
Soup is on the menu for tomorrow night.
It's always good.
I agree. Actually, I make a pasta fagioli also. I haven't made in a long time. Is pretty. I might maybe consider that tomorrow night. Maybe. Oh.
Beautiful.
So, yes.
I want to give suggestions. When I bake,
yes,
I place 1 cup of flour with 1 cup of almond flour. Like that, I reduce the carb. In the almond flour, there is less carb.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Instead of olive oil, I use avocado oil.
Yeah.
Because the olive oil is good for salad. When the olive oil comes with heat, the texture changes.
Absolutely.
Avocado oil, when come with heat, the texture does not change. I also use a little amount of coconut flour.
So, for what type of recipe do you use the coconut flour? When you're baking?
Yeah.
So you make a mix of regular flour, almond flour, and coconut flour?
Yes. Coconut flour, not a big amount. The flour that I use is spelt.
Spelt. Yeah.
I read that the spelt flour is more healthy than the whole wheat flour. It
Yes.
has less gluten.
I've heard the same thing. My question to you is, does it change the taste? Is the taste very different? I've not experimented very much with spelt, I have to be honest. But I think it's also It's also heavier, no? It's more dense, the spelt, than the regular flour.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you would use 1 cup of spelt for 1 cup of regular. I don't think it's an even, it's like an equivalent measurement. Anyone else experimented with different types of flour?
Siggy uses spelt a lot.
Yes, she does. She definitely.
It's much heavier. It's much denser. Calorie-wise and carb-wise and all that, it's pretty much equal. It's not like, it's not,
Okay.
is it healthier? It's not as processed. That's the thing. But almond flour is wonderful. I mean, you could take this recipe probably for Pesach and use almond flour. You would probably have to play a little bit with adding some potato starch or whatever, but it could be lovely.
I actually used almond flour this Passover. I've never really dabbled so much in almond flour, but I used it this Passover and actually made delicious recipes. Yeah. Not that I wasn't skeptical. I know a lot of people use it. It's become a very popular ingredient. They sell big bags. It's expensive, but it costs the bag, like a decent sized bag. I think it's $15.99. And I thought I was expecting a much nuttier flavor to it, and it didn't have that. That's why I was kind of worried about using it in recipes, but it actually didn't. You didn't taste it.
It's really lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you actually reminded me. I still have some. I'm gonna look for some recipes. Does anyone have any good recipes with almond flour that?
I have a biscotti recipe that I made. That's it.
Biscotti?
I found it on Pinterest. Almond flour and chocolate chips.
That's almond flour chocolate chip. I'm gonna look for that actually. Yeah.
I'll send it to you. But it's a Passover recipe.
I want to add another thing. I am from Israel. When I visit Israel, there are a lot of bread with sourdough.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, when we buy dry yeast, the dry yeast are not healthy because they are processed.
Yes.
So here in Canada, I hardly find bread with sourdough.
Yeah, it's not the easiest bread to find, actually, sourdough bread.
Kosher,
but
I was in the health store. There is no kosher sourdough bread. I wonder why in Canada there are not so conscious. In Israel, in the supermarket, you found sourdough bread of whole wheat, sourdough bread of spelt lot.
I think you find a lot more there of a lot of different things that we don't have here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I pulled a recipe last year. I still haven't tried it. I saw a recipe. People were very big last year when there was a flour shortage, when COVID started and everyone was deciding to be Martha Stewart at home. There was an easy sourdough recipe posted. I'm trying to think where I have it. It really did not look difficult, and I'm very adventurous in trying different doughs and stuff. But it was easy. I think it's something you could probably do at home. It really didn't look difficult. It didn't look any more difficult than biscotti. Just maybe it takes a longer time to rise, but the actual ingredients, it was nothing that was so crazy.
Is that the one that you bake in the like a Le Creuset, or is it actual sourdough that you'd have to make the starter?
Actual sourdough. Let me see.
Do the starter. Okay.
I think so. I'm going to, if I find it, Sharon, I will forward it to you. And I was actually just discussing this with a friend of mine last week. She called me, she's like, I think you should make me some sourdough bread. And I'm like, oh, okay. I have to just I get a lot of those types of requests. Make some sourdough bread. I think I'm ready to go actually take the biscotti out. Oh yes, I am. I see the time. Hold on. Here we go. Oh wow, I was right. They really expanded. So I'm going to show you what they look like. So now I'm just going to leave them to sit for probably 10-15 minutes, because if I try to cut them right now, they are definitely going, they're too soft still to the touch. As they cool, they're going to harden a little bit. I'm going to take a nice sharp knife, which I'm going to, I take even a serrated one is fine. And then I'm not going to actually do it yet because they're too hot, but I'm going to cut them probably in, this might give me probably about 12 each log. Maybe this 10 to 12, I would say, if you want them to be on the thinner side. Otherwise, maybe 8 if you're cutting them a little bit thicker. But
That's a healthy slice. If you're only going to get 10, that's a big biscotti.
Yeah. Instead of eating 2, I'm gonna eat 1. But the original recipe, she says that they yield about 24. I think it yields more than 24. 24 is they're big. And so I'm gonna slice them. I'm gonna lay them back flat on my tray once they're sliced. And I'm going to stick them back in the oven, but I'm going to stick them at a lower temperature. I'm going to lower my heat to 300. I don't want to keep them at 350 because then they're going to start to get really, really brown and burnt. They're going to have like a burnt taste, aftertaste to them. So you're going to lower, you're going to keep your oven on. You're just going to lower the temperature before you even slice them because it takes a couple of minutes for the heat to drop. And then you're going to slice them, you're going to put them flat on your tray, and you're going to stick them back in the oven. If you want them, again, to be more on the chewy side, you're going to leave them for maybe 10 minutes and then pull them right out. If you want them to be really crunchy, you're going to leave them for 15 minutes, and then you can just shut your oven and leave them inside for an hour, 2 hours, and they're going to be really, really like that real biscotti crunch to them. So that's, I mean, we're not going to have time to do that all together, and a lot of you haven't even put your batters together, but you will do that at your own leisure. And I'd love to hear after from Dina how it turned out.
Take pictures and send us. And I want to thank you, Lori, so much for really giving of yourself and without looking at the clock and fully. And we'll see you back, I'm sure. So thank you, everyone. All the best. Dahlia.
Yeah.
Did you still not get it, Dahlia?
She has it. She's just relaxing.
Thanks, Lori. Always
Dahlia,
a pleasure
now
to
when
see
you
you.
get it soon, you will not. You have all the ingredients ready.
I'm going to surprise Ari tonight.
Okay, good. So be well. Talk to you. And Sylvia as well.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you. Be well, everyone.